The best quarterback on the market, free agent market, is going to be Derek Carr. Been with the Raiders for 9 years. The Raiders are terrible as a franchise. They've had some good players around him.
Yeah.
Do you think the 49ers will entertain the possibility of going after Derek Carr? And before you answer that question, is there a case to be made that if the Niners get the best free agent quarterback on the market, this guy, that they're good enough, they can put enough around him that they can win a Super Bowl immediately, or in 2 years, the way that the Rams did with Matthew Stafford? That would be the argument in favor. Is there any credence to that?
He reminds me of Stafford, actually. He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
He is better than Jimmy.
49ers got to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, lost because of an overthrow that probably Derek Carr might make. Honestly, I think Derek Carr, if the 49ers had Derek Carr, they could be legitimate contenders. I'm not the biggest Derek Carr fan, but I think he is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think that could make the 49ers contenders. And it's something they should definitely entertain if they end up finding out that Brock Purdy is going to be out for a long period of time. You know, depending on what happens on Wednesday with his surgery, that's going to determine to me whether they consider Derek Carr or not. If Brock Purdy's coming back 5 or 6 months, I don't see the 49ers even thinking about it, to be honest. They think they have an answer between probably Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan seems to think he can get by with like a Brock Purdy type of quarterback, who Brock Purdy's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo too, in my opinion. So I think Kyle Shanahan is comfortable going into the season with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Now, if they can't go into the season with Brock Purdy, if it ends up being Tommy John surgery, then they probably will consider, and they should consider signing a guy like Derek Carr. Like I'm excited to see Trey Lance play, and everyone who follows me knows that's what I'm looking forward to seeing what he can actually do. But if you have Derek Carr, I think you are a Super Bowl type contender if you can shore up the line and maybe get some interior pass rush. So I think they should consider signing Derek Carr, depending on what happens on Wednesday. They probably should consider it either way. And people say they can't afford it. He's too expensive. They could figure out a way. If they wanted, they could move stuff around, re-sign, restructure guys. They could make it happen, trade guys, whatever they need to do. If they really wanted to, they could make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, let's make the case. So he didn't play well last year. He had Devontae Adams. He had Josh Jacobs. He had no excuses. That offense wasn't good. They were better with Jarrett Stidham. That being said, I think that Carr was a really bad fit for Josh McDaniels. And I think that Josh McDaniels is an overrated coach. I think he's a scheme coach. And I think he made no real effort to tailor anything to Derek Carr. Yeah. Derek Carr was in his first year in the system. Stidham was in his fourth. So I think you get him out of that system, in that New England Tom Brady system, which he doesn't fit, and you put him over here on the Niners with this run game, with these playmakers, with this play action attack, and this defense, I think he would look really good. And I think he might be able to put up the kind of numbers that Stafford, he threw a bunch of picks last year. He's thrown a bunch of picks the last 2 years. Stafford led the league in picks with the Rams and won the Super Bowl that year because he also threw 40 touchdowns. So you can't dismiss this. No. You really can't. I think it possibly could work. Now you'd have to give him. He'd be really freaking expensive. Mm-hmm. But the other thing about Derek Carr, another reason to consider it is he doesn't miss games. Yeah, and you could say he's soft. You could say he avoids hits. You could say he's not tough, but he's missed freaking 2 games in the regular season due to injury in his career, and no one else can do that on the 49ers.
And he's a Pro Bowler, right? So
4 times. 3 is an alternate. But still. Yeah.
How much do you think he would cost the 49ers?
Oh, maybe $40 million a year. Maybe 35.
I mean, they could make it happen. I think people don't understand the flexibility that these teams have in order to make something like that happen. I doubt they make it happen. I really doubt they do it, but they could. It's a possibility. I think they would be favored. I mean, where would you rank Derek Carr? Where would you rank him in the NFL as quarterback?
It's a tough one, right? He wasn't a top 10 quarterback last year. In fact, he was a problem. He was part of the problem on the Raiders. But as I just said, he was in his first year in a new system with a coach who probably isn't that good and didn't really tailor things to him, and would probably. My prediction is that Jimmy goes to the Raiders. Jimmy is a fit for that. Jimmy's been there. That's the kind of quarterback he wants. I think Jimmy goes to the Raiders. If Carr came here, it'd be kind of an interesting swap. I think they both might do better
somewhere else,
particularly on those 2 different teams. I mean, Derek Carr would really, he can move better. I mean, he has a better arm than Brock Purdy. He could imagine what he could do with Brandon Ayuk.
Two things there. First, I think Jimmy's going to the Pats. That's my prediction, but I could see him go to the Raiders.
Those are the two teams I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Only thing is, they have Bill O'Brien now as their offensive coordinator. He has no connection to Jimmy Garoppolo, although Bill Belichick does. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I think Bill Belichick is the kind of coach to be like, I'll show Kyle Shanahan what you can do with Jimmy Garoppolo. It just feels like
I can see it.
But that's besides the point. But would Kyle Shanahan really adjust to Derek Carr's strengths, though? You know, like you talk about McDaniels didn't do it with Kyle.
No. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, would Derek Carr be a better fit in Kyle's scheme than McDaniel's scheme? Maybe, because there's more of a play action. There's more of a running game.
Period. Yeah.
I don't know.
Period. But I think some of Derek Carr's strengths, like he's got an arm on him, right? He could stretch the field a little bit. And I don't know how much Kyle's going to be dialing it up. But I don't know if that's true either, because there do seem to be routes open deep for quarterbacks that we're just not hitting them with Jimmy or Brock necessarily all the time either. And
like last year, he did have Devontae Adams, best wide receiver in the league. He did have Josh Jacobs, best running back, leading rusher in the league. On this team, though, like it's different. You have 5 eligibles who are open a lot. You can always dump the ball down to McCaffrey if you're scared. If there's pressure, you know, like he could really. Who wouldn't thrive on the 49ers? Now, until you get hurt, quarterbacks get hurt a lot in the 49ers, but he actually protects himself. He's never had a McCaffrey type that I could think of. Debo makes your job easy. Kittle makes your job easy. He has the arm to take advantage of Ayuk. I don't think they're going to go after him, though, because he'd be such a big investment. They've already made a huge investment in Trey Lance. Yeah. And if you go and get Derek Carr, then you're saying, well, forget Trey Lance, forget Brock Purdy. All of that, we messed up. We're going with Derek Carr. And you're still like that. That's no guarantee that you win the Super Bowl with Derek Carr. I mean, a lot of people will tell you that Derek Carr is vastly overrated and he's not, you know, he's like Kirk Cousins, but maybe even worse. I don't know. So I don't think they're going to do it. I don't even think they can justify it, even though they've kind of painted themselves into the corner where it might be their best move given where their roster's at and how they've just not wasted 4 years, but not capitalized on a 4-year Super Bowl window.
I mean, to win a Super Bowl, you need the best quarterback you can find. I don't know.
Is he a top 10 quarterback? Maybe on the Niners.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
What are the top 10 quarterback can they get if it's not him? Well, maybe Lance and Brock.
Is Brock Purdy, honest question for you, is Brock Purdy better than Derek Carr?
Who knows? He started 8 games, gotten hurt twice. Who knows? We don't even know. He's coming off a serious injury. I don't know what Brock Purdy is. The thing about Derek Carr is it's kind of like the Stafford thing where you can look at almost a decade's worth of evidence and you can say, man, he's on a terrible organization. Let's bring him over here, see what happens. It worked with Stafford and the Rams.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at this Derek Carr situation. Derek Carr could have the same outcome as Matthew Stafford did going to the Rams, right? If Derek Carr came to the 49ers, I could totally see that happen. But again, it's a big investment. Derek Carr's probably looking for a multi-year contract, I'm sure. So I don't see it happening.
Here's what the Niners could try. Because I think we both agree they're not going to give Derek Carr whatever. You're not going to win a bidding war for Derek Carr, but they could call him up and say, look, man, you could go to the Jets. Sure. And sign for the top of the market with them. Or you could come sign a 1-year deal with us and really get your career back on track. Look what Brock Purdy's numbers were here. Look what Jimmy Garoppolo's numbers were here with Christian McCaffrey. Now imagine you want to get that big money contract. Don't settle for what the Jets are offering you now. Come here, play 1 year, win a Super Bowl, and then go get $500 million next year. Yeah. That's a pitch. You can make that call. See what he wants to do. What do you want to do, Derek? You want to cash in now, or do you want to go on the best team and resurrect your career? Your call.
I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money anyways from the Raiders.
He's paid money.
Yeah.
So, come win. You want to go to the Jets? Or you want to come win? Hey, you can say you want to go to the Jets or you want to win? Mm-hmm. What do you want to do?
Although you could say the Jets would be pretty damn good with Derek Carr too.
It's true. They have the number 4 rated defense. This is terrible. I like this.
Your Y came off?
Oh.